we already did that. Nice. All right, cool. I did it. Yeah. Thanks, bye. Hi. Sometimes.
this
I
one.
know, right?
You don't really need it. So, okay, guys, thanks for taking time out of your day and showing up again. So, we're not sure exactly. Well, Amy seems to know, but we weren't totally prepared today. It's been busy. Is everybody busy? Summertime, everybody's busy. So, I'm Zach Riggs. This is Amy Molea. So, you
Hi
go
guys.
ahead. You
I
say what-
I wanted to pick
Oh,
Zach's
this is
brain
Josh.
today. Yeah. Josh and I talked about it. We're like, we're gonna put Zach on the hot seat today because he just closed on an amazing huge deal with apartments and storage buildings and all of that. So we want to hear more about this.
Okay. Well,
How'd you find the deal?
okay. So I actually didn't find it. Adam found it. Adam Grady found it. So this is my first time partnering with anyone. So that's a new adventure, but I've known Adam a long time, and we have a third partner, Cade Rogers. He builds houses. So I don't know if you guys know him, um, but it happened really, really fast. I mean, 1 month ago, it was not on my radar. And then within about 12 days, we closed on it. So we really didn't get to do much of the due diligence, and it just happened really fast. But basically, Adam got a call from somebody that knew him somewhat. Um, this individual was buying around, I don't know the number, but it was like 500 or 600 units in this area, different complexes and things. Something happened with a partner or financing on part of it, so the financing started to get shaky. And so he had to buy the whole package on June 1st, or the seller had decided that he undersold it and was going to raise the price significantly and then put it on the open market. And so the buyer at the time didn't want that. He wanted to still be able to close on it. So he had the ability to close on about half of it, and then the other half he did not. And so he called Adam. Adam called me, and at that point it was a smaller deal. It was about 4 million. No, it was like it was 4.7 million. So it was like one complex and then storage units in Ozark. And then over the weekend, with financing and partnerships, sometimes it's like a domino, And so then over the weekend, something else had happened. And then it became another complex in Nixa that was 144 units. And so from Friday to Monday, it's like there's nothing there. And then there's, it's around 11 million, which is a lot more than what I have in my entire portfolio on my own that I've built over 9 years. So it was just a lot to mentally process. And then, to do it with little due diligence is a little nerve wracking, but when the numbers make sense, you just kind of do it and figure it out, really. And so that's what we did. 12 days later, we closed on it, which I could not believe. I still really can't believe it. And now I'm just trying to iron out things, but they were all occupied for the most part, maybe 2 or 3 that were not paying and some issues. So really nothing too challenging, but so in total, it's 170 storage units in Ozark with a 48 unit apartment facility, and then 10 acres of development land, and 144 unit complex in Nixa. So, which we're selling the storage facility to someone, because that's not really what we do. So we're just kind of,
Already have that sold.
we do.
I have a buyer.
Yeah, we do. We had it sold quick. So that's the gist of it.
So, couple questions for you. When you got that offer presented to you, was there something in your gut that made you scared to take on such a big deal?
Yeah.
And why did you jump on it anyway?
Yeah, I was definitely freaked out because it's just not my nature to like jump into something. Like even if I think it's a great deal, I still want to go through the process of like, I want to know every detail. Like, who's renting what are they paying, where am I going to raise it to, are they month to month, are they lease agreements, what are the utility setups, like all these, like the history, what's been fixed, like there's just, so I want to know about my financing, like what are we committing to, like what's that look like, what's the payment going to be, what's the, just everything. And I really didn't get to do any of it for the most part. And so I would say most of getting through that was Adam being the opposite of me, where he's just sort of like, let's just do it, and I'm just like, oh God, Adam, you know. And so, but it did sort of open my eyes to having different types of partnerships, because along the way I've always, not that I've been against it, but I just like doing my own thing, and it's worked fine. But having different people around you, for instance, like Adam, the way he reacts to something like that's totally different than me. And so him being calm and confident helped me be the same way, Um, and so, yeah, I was totally freaked out. I'm not really freaked out now, but yeah, I was really nervous. It was a long couple of weeks. And then we close on it and I leave for Greece. So it's just like, oh my God, but everything's fine. And it was fine.
I think like something I hear from you is that you are aligned with the right people.
Yeah.
Whether they're in your corner and you knew about it once you were under contract with Adam, but also, beforehand, you would have never heard of the deal.
That's
if
right.
It wasn't creating those relationships, whether doing just good real estate business or being known as an investor or presenting yourself in the, in an area of opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that's where, in this market especially, that's where you're going to find a deal.
Yeah.
You're never going to find a deal, not never, but very unlikely you're going to find a deal on market.
Mm-hmm.
Very unlikely that you're going to find a deal the normal way.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the hidden ones or just aligning yourself with the right people.
100%. Yeah, I've been asking Adam for about, because Adam's really busy. I don't know if you know, he sells a lot and I don't. And so I always thought it'd be great if Adam could find a really big deal that we could partner on. And then, my strength is an operator. That's what I like to do, manage the assets. And so I've been telling him for about 5 years to find something really big. And that was the first thing he said when he called me, is I finally found something. And so, yeah, you got to align yourself with people, but you have to, you got to figure out what you want first, and then you got to tell everybody, and it doesn't always happen right off the bat, but over a period of time, somehow it just starts to happen that way, Yeah. Yeah, there was one deal, it's like maybe 25 or 30 properties. And then outside of that, maybe one, something like that. But he's also, I'm in his downline. So like the reason I moved to Keller Williams was because of Adam, 8 years ago, because of his influence and his confidence and how much business he was doing and all that, right? I want to be around it. And other people like Dan. And at the time, it was a different crew then, but it was like, I want to be around that.
I think it's mutually beneficial for both of you guys, though.
For sure. Yeah. 100%. So, yeah.
So
when it comes to like systems and processes, how did you know that you were ready to take that on? Like, was it already on your radar? So you were putting things in place to make sure you could take on that many units?
Mm-mm.
Or did you just jump and say, I'll figure it out?
Yeah, it was not.
Still trying to
was
figure it
not on
out.
my unit. I mean, it was not on my unit. Or on my radar. I have a way of doing things with my portfolio now, which I'm comfortable with. It requires very little time, like no problem. But just to like triple it in a couple of weeks is, well, it's not as hard as it seems, because with those properties, there's management, right? So then it's just a matter of like, do I want that management in place? Do I have a better fit? That sort of thing. You do sort of, you really just become like the asset manager. Like I'm really an operator, so I'm an asset manager. So I don't really lease things and do that, but I'm looking at all the numbers, making sure everything's leased for the right price, making sure, repairs are in line, people are happy, tenants, that sort of thing, And so you just manage the management, which requires less time once it's all settled and in place. But to add more, more to it, we basically, one property was being ran pretty good. So we basically released the management on the big facility and had the management on the small facility take that over. So right after we closed, that was like a 2 to 3 week transition, but it's just going to be messy for a little while. But from a high level, as long as most of the money's coming in and everything's accounted for, the numbers just sort of pan out, and then you just get everything ironed out over the next 60 to 90 days. But no, I didn't have, and then to top it off, the way these properties will run and the way I'm used to running them as far as like being paid and tracking everything, it's a totally different system. So now I have to learn this way of doing it, which is work too, but it's all good. It's just part of it.
So I have a question. I had a lender explain to me that it's almost easier to get commercial financing on a large asset that's performing, that has numbers, than it is to say a 12 or 15 unit apartment complex, because there's more risk for a lender involved on the smaller to mid-sized deals than there is on the large complexes. Can you
Yeah, it was,
speak to that?
yeah. So it was definitely way easier than what I thought, but it was also, it was unique. So it was undervalued from the get-go. So we didn't have to spend $1 million renovating and a 2-year transition. It was really, we just buy it undervalued, and then we can just raise rents over the next couple of years and it goes up in value. So it was unique. So the lender saw that. And then when you have partners that have track records in their business, whether it's selling real estate, building, or investing, that plays a role, but it was frighteningly easy. So
I think Amy's point though, I mean, when you're talking a 4 unit, and one person's vacant, that's, you're 25% occupancy lost,
Yeah. Yeah.
and 100 and how many units in the small one or the big one?
144.
So 144 people, you lose 10.
Yeah.
And you're still at like 6%,
Right.
vacancy, all of it, or,
Yeah.
it makes it a whole lot less risky. Like I think Amy's saying, for the lender, and for the asset manager as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, everything's just a bigger number. So the banks obviously like that, on an asset that's performing already, because the interest on that amount of money is a lot. So they see it like, okay, well, yeah. So it was actually, but we have a great bank. Legacy Bank is a great bank, and I've worked with them for 7 or 8 years, and we have a very good relationship. So that plays a role too.
But I think that's a big part of it. You built a relationship with them over time. So you have a proven track record for not taking on things that are not good projects. And
Yeah.
so I think that probably really speaks to how easy it was for you versus somebody that just walks in off the street and has no relationship with a lender.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, is for us to start building our relationships with these local lenders and having them get to know us and how we perform on our assets. Every time they got the right to write the check, it becomes that much easier to get a loan next time.
Totally agree.
My only experience with apartment buildings was the 12 unit that I had up in Camdenton. And that one, when I had to finance it and refinance it, I had a really tough time finding anybody that wanted to finance the note. And they told me, we would much prefer to do a 36 unit plus, and you can get into those with 10% down. Because with a 36 unit, you can have management that lives on site. A 12 unit, you're not cash flowing enough to have a management live on site. So there's little things like that where they're like, you actually would have been better off trying to get a 36 unit than a 12 unit.
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
I think to that point too, like you're saying, building those relationships, you're building that one house at a time. Your first investment property, your first rental or flip is still starting that relationship. So, I mean, Zach, 8 years ago, you said, you started with that first one and you just built that relationship over time to where you can walk in and say, hey, I need 12 million. And they're like,
yeah,
we trust you. It's a pretty simple process at that point when you've got a portfolio of, whatever it may be, that you're not demanding something, you've earned that trust.
Yeah.
You're loyal with them and they're loyal with you as well. They like to receive, they like making money. So they like your interest.
Yeah, they
but
do.
You have
but
to earn. You have to earn
like
that
relationships too. I mean, there's people that borrow money that come in and say, here's what I've got from everybody else. If you can beat it, I'll go with you. If you can't, which I get that. I mean, there is an element of that. You know, you have to pay attention to that
Within
but-
reason, absolutely, yeah.
within reason, but it's like ultimately treating them well, and you get that in return. Like this deal, I mean, I just don't see that we would have been able to do it in 12 days without them doing that. So
And you and Adam and everyone involved earned that
Yeah.
that trust from
Yeah.
them in order
Yeah.
for them to make that happen for you
yeah,
guys too.
we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we're very appreciative.
And so now this is really exciting because you just like expanded your growth level, like doubled it
Yeah.
overnight from something that you hadn't known about a month prior.
hmm
So this is really cool, you guys, because we can kind of mimic Zach. We can, I mean, obviously this is way years down the road, but my brain's
But
going, but
I started, I mean, I just bought one house and then another. And so
Yes.
it's like, it's not like I'm different than anybody else. I just have been doing it and I do it
Right.
consistently, and it's exciting. It is exciting. to me.
yeah. And so the cool thing is, and I was visiting with Blake Cook to this point, you set a goal for yourself. If you put the goal down in writing and you think, okay, in 5 years, I want to own X number of properties. Well, Blake did that and he's already like hitting his goal in 1 year, but he hit his 5-year goal that he had written down.
Mhm.
So it's really important for us to solidify like long term, what's our plan and when do we want to get there? And then amazing things happen when you put intention to something and you envision it in your head and you put it down and you write it down, and all of a sudden the deal shows up and it's exactly what you were looking for. And these things happen left and right.
Mhm.
He's been speaking it to Adam for how long? Hey, bring me a big deal, bring me a big deal. And so when he got the big deal, he knew to act on it. But like, what intention are we putting out there? What
I
are we
think-
looking for?
I think you made a good point there. You know, you look at people like Dan and like Dan Turkel, and Blake and Zach. Everyone knows that they're doing that, right? If somebody doesn't know, if you know, you're in Adam's relationships, obviously a little bit more personal than on Facebook, but you know, Blake's getting these opportunities because he's making it known on social media. Very simple, you know, and all of a sudden the opportunity arises because of it. Someone has a, you know, behind the scenes, access to a property, and all of a sudden he gets the phone call. If people don't know you're in that space, you're never going to get that call or that text. I mean, that's how a lot of our business gets done on our team.
What translates into the sales business too. is
Absolutely.
If nobody knows you sell real estate, then you
It's
know,
the same-
selling
and
anything,
we're-
it's the same exact
As
thing.
real estate agents, we're totally understand that and we're good with it, but it's getting outside of there. We have a hard time. And Amy and I've talked about it when it comes to recruiting into KW. We need to be better about speaking our vision and our love for KW. And it's that same thing. I do a pretty decent job about letting my business for my team be known, but not the KW side. And the exact same thing for the investment side. It can all be, you know, just let people know what you're doing and that you're open to those opportunities,
Yeah.
goes leaps and bounds.
So I want to put something out there to the class and to everybody that's attending. Josh and I have been given an assignment that we are supposed to help grow. We want to grow the wealth of the market center in a tremendous level. And we want to grow everybody's profit share by attracting people to things like this. We want this to be profitable for everyone. And so we were thinking if we could start tracking just from the start of class to the end of class, what people bought, what they acquired, how much their net worth grew as a result of participating in this.
What they paid off or paid down. Debts.
What debts they've been able to pay off. Like if we could find a way to track this as a group, we're going to be able to show value to other brokerages. And if we can show value to the other brokerages, where do you think people are going to want to be? Which is going to help your profit share go up. So we're brainstorming. If anybody has ideas for us around that, let us know. But as you have wins, we want to hear about them. We want to talk about them as a group because we want to be able to just move that thermometer up for the whole class as a whole. We're all in this together, helping each other.
Mhm.
I know a lot of us have a hard time like talking about our wins like it's boastful. And I don't think when Zach put it on Facebook and, you know, the great things that he was able to get, you know, secured, no one looked at it like that. Like I didn't look at the post and go, oh, look, it's Zach talking about Zach again.
Well, if we're being honest, some people will, and that's
of course, but
and that it's okay.
the majority
you
are
know.
going to know you. Yeah. Everyone missed the investment opportunity. They all saw them in Greece. Yeah. But my point is that, you know, if people know your heart, you don't be afraid to share those wins. Like Amy's saying, we would love to. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, let us do it for you.
Yeah.
For no other reason than it helps you, it helps the market center, it helps this group. And that's really we've told you guys from the get-go, that's our ultimate goal for the wealth building ALC class committee, this wealth, whatever we're encompassing right now. That's really our goal. It's not really anything for Amy or I, but you know, bringing people into the market center, getting them into a better situation, helping you guys grow where you're at as well.
It'd be great to have a reputation of, well, if you invest in real estate, you need to be at KW. If you're an investor, deals get done at KW. That's where you want to be. That's where you're going to be connected. That's where you're going to find the deals, and you're going to have people help you with your deals. Can we talk about a win?
I feel like Dan had a win recently, didn't he, Dan? I feel like we talked, didn't we?
And petitioned him on the spot after that.
Okay.
So my win revolves around a BRRRR that I did recently. So for those of you who may not be familiar with that acronym, it stands for Buy, Renovate, Rent Out, Refinance, Repeat. So I found a property, I don't know, maybe like 10 months ago or so, just west of the Alamo movie theater, and met up with the owner's daughter and realized they weren't really ready to sell yet. And then I just followed up, and about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months later, I just so happened to follow up and learned that what they valued most was not paying a commission to an agent and just kind of selling as is and just making it super simple. And they're like, yeah, we get these postcards in the mail from these people, and I think we might call one of them. And I'm like, well, let's talk. So I ended up going back over to the house. I walked it with my contractor, told them I was definitely interested, and put an offer in within the next day or so after that point. And I just made it super simple. I walked through the contract and I was like, you guys discuss it, and if you want to go for it, just click to sign. I'm like, DocuSign's not that bad. Just click to sign. So they ended up accepting my offer. They didn't counter, and I got it for $100,000 even. And I put 35 into it. So it was all in at 135. And then I ended up getting it rented out for $1,700 a month. And the rent or the mortgage is about $600 a month. So I was super pumped about that. Then I refinanced it and it appraised at 192. So so I had a little party when it appraised at 192. And then that's when I realized that I was probably going to have infinite cash on cash returns because, you know, at 192, at 75% LTV, I was going to pull out more than I had in it. So it ended up becoming a grand slam of a deal. And now I'm looking for the next one.
Okay, I'm going to speak to that, Dan.
Mhm.
You did the refinance after you got it tenant occupied
Mhm.
with the high loan to value. So not only did you get yourself paid off for what you had invested, you pocketed some change,
Mhm.
which doesn't look like a capital gain
Mm. Mhm.
because you didn't sell the property.
Mhm.
You
I
just
was tempted to.
refinanced, but
In
you
this
just
market, let me
you
tell you.
refinanced an asset and got money in your pocket
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
by refinancing the equity, and the tenant's still going to pay off
Mhm.
the loan.
Yep.
And you have this much of your own money invested in that, and you got so much out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you. Thank you.
That's exactly what you want to do. I mean,
Mhm. You don't know what tell us about what you're doing.
So Tim and I decided to get our HELOC in place a few months ago, just in case a deal came our way. And literally a deal fell into our lap. So we are under contract on our first investment property,
Who are you buying it from?
Blake Cook. And it was his first investment property. So I feel like the tradition is kind of coming around. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath over on University. And we're going to try to Airbnb it. So we close in a couple weeks and I'm super excited. And it wouldn't have been possible had we not had our HELOC in place. So
And she put the HELOC in place as a result of attending the class.
absolutely.
And then it's conversations with people in the office, right? So Blake knew that they were talking about buying their first investment property. Blake got a huge opportunity dropped in his lap, but in order to act on that opportunity involved liquidating one of his, and he agreed to just do it off market and be done with it to have it under contract quick. So it was a win-win for everybody. So don't feel like, oh, well, I don't need to talk to other agents about it. There's always deals and there's stuff that Zach will pass up on because it's not his cup of tea. And if he knows that I want it, he'll call me, right?
We had to make the jump at some point.
Mhm.
And so, yeah,
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Okay, and we went over the numbers with you, and it will work for them if they want to make it a long-term rental, and it will also work as an Airbnb. So they have multiple strategies around the one property, and they're still safe numbers-wise, no matter which route they go.
That's a good spot for. Oh yeah. Yeah, I had two right over there for about 3 years, and yeah, you get people from. Oh, hey, Rachel.
Hello.
Rachel's had some
Okay, great.
wins.
I haven't heard that one before. So my win is, for the longest time I was wanting to buy one investment property, specifically a duplex. And so
I feel like you wanted to for about 2 years.
yeah, it's been very annoying to you. I'm very sorry about that. And so grateful for all the knowledge that you've given to me and patience over the 2 years. At one point, I just said, if I come back to you and talk about this again, say, Rachel, either do it or don't, but I'm not going to talk to you again about it. That's how strict I needed him to be. So then in April, I guess, I closed on my first duplex. And when I talked to Zach about it, he's like, just be prepared. It's gonna you're gonna want to do it all the time. So fast forward to today, I've already closed on my second investment property. I'm actually meeting the tenants tonight to see how long they're wanting to stay and what the game plan is for that. And then Trey and I have a goal of hitting a certain amount of properties within, in the next 10 years. And the goal was around 62 or 63. And I guess since April to now, we have 10 doors combined. So, yeah.
Way to go.
Anybody else have wins they want to share?
But here's the thing with Rachel is it's like the anticipation of her getting to that point took 2 years. And then once you just actually do it, then you realize like your life's not over. Like it's okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So well done actually doing it. But I was right. You are addicted now. Yeah. Takes time.
So well, it's been an ongoing process of a win, but I'm finally ready to put my Airbnb on the market. This week it's going on the market. So yes, I'm so excited.
Using it all the time at yourself and then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we've literally been going down there and being like weekend warriors every single weekend for the last 3 months. My husband and I have been painting. We've been like, I did not get a weekend off because it's been working, but it's been so much fun working at this project.
Beautiful. It's like on a lake.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's on the water. It has a dock. So we have got 4 kayaks and 2 paddle boards for the guests to use, and it's a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it sleeps 13 people. And this last weekend I went through and had fun just making quirky labels for everything, like sticking labels on stuff. And we have it professionally photographed and it's supposed to be going live. If anybody knows anyone looking for the getaway for 4th of July weekend, I'm afraid that we're not going to get a booking because Evolve hasn't hit go yet. But if you have somebody looking for this weekend, holler out at me. It's peaceful and beautiful, and we're not using it this weekend. So, and I've heard Lake Avalon has a great fireworks display if you go out on your kayaks. And
That'd be neat.
Bella Vista. Okay, so it was an 8-month process. I started looking in Table Rock and I thought I wanted a lake house in Table Rock. I cannot afford a lake house in Table Rock. So then I was looking at condos in Table Rock or houses just with a lake view. I was going to be happy just to have a view. And I found several that would have been great. The problem is Stone and Taney County are really, really tricky on their Airbnb laws. And it takes you want to do so much research with the authorities in place over, the county and the city and the jurisdictions. So basically in Branson area, Stone or Taney County, if you find a place that you want to Airbnb out, call the county and talk to them. Most of the time, unless it's a condominium in an approved Airbnb neighborhood or an actual house in an improved Airbnb neighborhood, the answer is going to be no. So the lady at the county told me, Amy, we've had 5 people at our last town hall meeting who had bought properties. They were existing Airbnbs. They thought they could continue them as Airbnbs and then got served notice that no, you have to go back and reapply. And then the letter goes out to all the surrounding neighbors and it goes to a vote at the next town hall meeting. And she said all 5 of them left crying because they bought these houses for their family and now they could not use them for their intent when they were sold to them as an Airbnb. So that's a caution if you're helping people buy Airbnbs down there. If you're buying something that is like in a condominium complex that is approved Airbnb, you want to check with management because some of those have where they have to manage them. They insist on being the manager and they want to charge you 40%. So there goes your cash flow. So there's so many, and I just felt like everything I was doing, I was hitting a brick wall. So then I went down to Eureka Springs area and was researching that, Rogers or Eureka Springs and anywhere on Beaver Lake, and found a really great agent. His name was Grant through KW. And he said, have you ever checked out Bella Vista? I had never heard of it, but I love Bentonville and Rogers area. And it's just a few minutes north of that. They have a whole bunch of little man-made lakes, a couple allow boats, some are no-wake lakes. They all have great fishing. And it's the world's biggest biking destination for mountain biking. It's this huge destination place. So when you check with places like AirDNA or Evolve, where they will do the metrics on what you expect to get rental wise, the rent rates are through the roof on Bella Vista, a lot higher than Branson or Shell Knob area. Like in Branson and Shell Knob, their occupancy rate's probably 41% is great. In Bella Vista, average is 57% occupancy.
That's where all the Walmart money's going.
Yep. Yeah. And people that live in Bentonville and Rogers go up there for the weekend and they book for a weekend stay. So it's been a process, but we had to do some remodeling. We had to find furniture. That's hard to do right now. Nobody has stuff in stock, but we're ready to hit go on it. And I'm
Awesome.
hoping everybody will share it once I post it.
Of course. It's exciting.
I might have somebody for you.
Okay. Awesome.
That's a
Berry County, so Shell Knob, Berry County doesn't have restrictions right now. Yep. But yeah, Stone and Taney County are really tricky. They send out the letters and then the neighbors just squash it down.
Zach, you mentioned something when it was referring to Rachel and how it's like an addiction.
Mhm.
How do you keep yourself grounded to not dealing with an addiction
Mhm.
and it going the wrong way?
I just, I think through that a lot because I do wonder when enough's enough. But as long as
I don't even think that's my question as much as not getting a bad deal or
Yeah.
keeping
well,
yourself grounded enough on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, there's like, it's so hard to explain. I mean, yeah, finding the deal, but then like turning it into a better performing deal and then seeing like what it spends off, the whole thing's addictive in just different ways, but I just don't buy bad deals. It's like the only way I'm buying is if I can make money immediately, by selling it and it's a no-brainer or as a rental. And, I've just analyzed a lot. So it's like, um, well, so there's a lot of deals that I pass on that they're probably good deals. They're just out of my ability, like maybe, um, land that I could have bought for 500 and sell it for 8 or 900. And I didn't even realize it because I just don't know. So I pass on anything that I'm just not 100% certain on. So if it's not like an apartment purchase or duplex houses, stuff like that, I just don't do it. I could learn it, but it's like, I don't want to learn something new. I can just keep doing what I'm doing.
Like you mentioned, you instantly sold the storage because it's not your
Yeah, right.
not your realm.
Yeah, which I could have kept it and, could have figured out how to do what the buyer's going to do and it would have made tons of sense. But it's like, you don't always have to like keep every single thing you buy, just trimming things off, like the storage units. We're going to trim the land off just because it's dead weight. We're not going to develop it. Um, So I don't know. I just don't buy bad deals. I just buy stuff that's got equity and cash flows. I have a couple backup plans. I've owned Airbnbs and, they worked great. And it was like, if it doesn't work, I'll just rent it out like a normal house. And that worked. The numbers worked there. I could sell it, make 20 or 30 grand. So that
Say
works.
one thing we always look at with it, whether it's ourselves or our clients, is multiple exit strategies.
Yeah.
If your plans to Airbnb it long term, and then you run into, every restriction in the world from Stone County, it's like, okay, did I buy something I can sell or have as a long term rental?
Mhm.
Or even if it's on university, right? You guys bought that one, and let's say Airbnb doesn't work out. Can you sell it? Yeah. Or rent it? Yeah. And you're good.
Mhm.
I think multiple exit strategies or multiple end results
Yeah.
that are positive. So worst case scenario, worst case, you get rid of the asset and you're okay. You're
Yeah.
not upside down. And then best case, you just switch it to something else,
For sure.
Oh yeah.
I bet.
I mean, and that's, yeah,
Yeah.
there has to be. And I've talked about it with Dan. I mean, he came into our office and we told him to either buy it or we were going to take it from him. Like he told us the address and we were like, you have 2 days, like make the decision or we're going to go do it.
Mhm.
And, and it was more of that push that somebody needs, because that therapy session that someone needs. And that's what, be each other's, accountability partners on that.
Yeah. And you gain confidence. You guys will do this deal and you'll see that it works out close to what you planned. And then you'll be like, okay, I've got the bandwidth to do it again, 75 more. Hmm. Yeah.
Tish was built for Airbnbs. I
Yeah.
just can't even I can't wait to see what she's going to do with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to be the most memorable experience they've ever had, though. Yeah.
You need to make money at it too. But that's the thing, is even if you break even on a deal, but you learn something, now you've grown your mindset. So sometimes we just grow our mindset and sometimes we grow our pocketbook and sometimes we grow both.
Mhm.
And once you've grown your mindset in something, now all of a sudden, everywhere you look, you see opportunity that looks similar to what you just did. Now I look at the hot sheets and I see houses and I go, oh my God, I'll make a cute Airbnb. You would have got the deal. But yeah, just it expands your brain. And then being in an environment like this, like listening to, we had the guest, who was it that did the mobile home park? And I was thinking about that going, gosh, dang it.
Oh,
I want to do that.
Aaron.
Yes. Aaron's
Heslin.
netting $2,300 a month or
Mhm.
$2,500 a month on a mobile home park that cost her 150 grand.
Yeah, I think it's in Ava.
Hello. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, if
You're
it
on to
makes
your next
money,
project.
mhm. It's all about the availability of the funds, the financing, and where you want to go with it.
That's actually, so on that note, I do remember when I was starting out and funds were obviously it's a big part of it, right? But doing this deal with Adam, it sort of dawned on me that, because I had another agent in the office come up to me yesterday, and she's like, if you get another deal like that, let me know because I want to partner with you. I'm like, well, I didn't find it, so you can find it and we can work together. So just be aware that, like if you're out and you're prospecting and you hear of something, like you can always call somebody and be a partner, a percentage. You could be a percentage of of a $20 million deal, small percentage, put no money into it, and make money every month for nothing. So there's a lot of different ways to be involved in a lot of different classes of investing. So just something to think about. Just don't think small. You can think big too. You can just think differently.
Well, there's less competition on the
Yeah.
big deals. I mean, because so many people are scared of them. So if you can put together something that makes sense and bring in some equity partners, there's no reason why a bank would say
Yeah,
no.
most of the time, those big deals, there's almost always partnerships, that's just very common. So would be nothing out of the ordinary. So, and people have different skill sets. There's some people with lots of money and no time, or lots of time, no money, or skill set, or some people have all of it, right? So you can work your way into those deals because finding the deal is the most important part of it. So, and it doesn't really, you don't have to, have a ton of money or sell 1,000 homes a year to find them. You just have to.
Generally speaking, the
out
guy with a ton of money and no time isn't finding the deal.
Yeah.
He's being brought the opportunity by somebody else.
Yeah.
And if you can be that person, it's awesome.
Get paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you have the time, you can make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You want to open it up to questions?
Sure.
Who has
You're
questions?
really good at leading this.
Oh,
You're
thank
really
you.
good. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'll be a mic
Ugh,
runner too.
be
Who has
nervous. And
questions that
Josh.
they would
Josh
like
really
to
good
ask
too.
of?
So
So whenever you're starting out and like we talked about, funds could be limited, what are some other options in becoming partners for those deals? So would it be more of an exchange? I don't have funds, but I can do 10% sweat equity. What does that look like?
well, I guess it just depends, I mean, it really depends because it depends who you're trying to partner with. So if you're partnering with somebody that has no investment properties but has the money, then what they see being beneficial could be different than, let's say, like me, right? Or Josh or Amy. So that's a tough question. It would just be hard to say. You just have to have those conversations with people that you think you would want to be in a partnership with and find out what the expectations are. The deal size matters too, because example, if it's a $100,000 house, those terms and that partnership's going to look very different than let's say $20 million, what's required with money and all that. So,
Okay.
you could look into hard money too, I don't know if anybody's done that in here, but getting a hard money lender to loan you the full amount on a property versus a bank, that's a way to work around funds. But Josh, Amy, I feel like I answered that very good. It's kind of, but it's
We've gone the private money route.
Yeah.
And which means just easy
Yeah.
if you have it available and you have a relationship with somebody. Yeah, I think and there's I think to answer part of your question, if you find the deal, and you don't have the funds and so you don't want to be a part of this one, but you want to be compensated for it, there's that option too.
Yeah.
Whether it's, wholesaling it and wholetailing it, because legally we can't wholesale, but, or giving somebody else the, the lead on it, and then you get paid for that, I've heard of multiple occasions that that's happened with Zach, where people have brought him a deal that are agents and they can't buy it themselves, but Zach makes sure they're taken care of. It's not like he's saying, thanks, see you later, bye, creating those relationships.
I did that. That's how I met, Alex Moore, No, it's fine. He doesn't care, but he did that. He found a deal and he was trying to get into the investing deal. He brought it to me. I paid him. I bought the house and gave him a lot. A big check, very big, way more than a commission. But it's like, if I'm still making money, I would have never found it. That's right. That's right. I never would have found it. We never would have had the deal. So, I think it always goes back to finding the deal. If you find a deal that makes sense, you can always fill the gaps of partnerships, money, all of that. And people like Rachel, they think you got to have that all lined out first and have everything organized. And I understand that. But if you can find a deal that makes sense, the money is just believe me, it'll be there, whether it's a lender, partner, private money.
Like that surprises you with my personality.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't.
I was
It's gotta
going to
be
say on the
perfect.
private money situation, just being on places like LinkedIn or joining investor groups in Facebook and commenting, you'll have people approach you. I've had several people message me through LinkedIn and say, hey, if you're looking for hard money loans for what you do, we have money available to you. Or, and through one of the Facebook groups, they were like, we've got a great program. I have yet to talk to him about it, but now I saw an opportunity and I was like, oh crap, I haven't had that conversation yet about that hard money. So sometimes the deal is so good and the numbers make sense. Even if you're going to pay more on the hard money loan, it's worth it to just get it, be able to lock it up. Later, you can always refinance the thing into a more traditional loan. Like if you're doing the Burr method that Dan talked about, if you could get hard money and not have to come up with any money out of your pocket because the deal made sense, it doesn't matter if they're charging you 5, 6, 7%.
Yeah. And so I've done that and I'll do that. The better the deal, obviously it needs to be a really good deal, but so you find a deal, I will give you the money to buy it. You pay me interest on it. And then when you're done remodeling it, you refinance it like Dan did with a bank. They'll give you 70 or 80% of the appraised value. You pay me back. And then whatever's left over, you can put it in your pocket or whatever. But it works great. I make a little money on my money that I wouldn't normally. You get what you want. So I will do that on a good deal. So
Good to know. And then, actually,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, just so, because Adam is Zach's upline, Zach is my upline.
mhm,
Just saying.
mhm.
But he's one of the reasons I'm here, and he's one of the reasons that I'm even investing in real estate. So it's cool. We've got
It is
we've
cool.
got a really good thing going here, you guys. Don't ever leave KW.
Right.
Saying.
Right.
No, and the fact is that there's so many opportunities out there. I think some brokerages have a very like closed door mentality and they find a secret and they want to keep it to themselves. So they're the only ones making the money and you never know what it is that they're doing. And when I moved over to KW, everybody was like, here's my playbook. You need scripts? Here's our scripts. Like, here's what we're doing. You can copy it. And everybody's just been like that, very open door mentality. And it's because Gary Keller's thoughts are mindset of abundance. There is enough business out there and enough opportunity out there for all of us to make money and support each other doing it. And through networking, we're all going to be able to help each other, bring each other deals. Doesn't it's like a synergy, right? We're not in competition with each other.
That's right.
Anybody else have any more questions today?
Yeah. Like a holding company. Yeah. I don't know. I did it maybe 6 years ago. I think I had around 5 LLCs. And so I was getting to this point where I'm like, I needed to make do my will and my trust and all that uncomfortable stuff. And so that was just part of like what the attorney recommended I do. Have your LLCs for your, like for sales business, rentals, flips, and then have a holding company that holds all that. Yeah. I don't know when. I just know he told me, so I did it. So. Yeah. I've got like maybe 10 in each property, and then I just open a new LLC and then a new account, yeah. It's kind of annoying, but I don't know how else you can really do it. Yeah, it's just, you're just trying to put a fence up around your liability, that's all. So you could do it, you might have one unit if it's $1 million, or you might have 10 houses in one, but that's probably a good, every $1 million in property. Or initially, you could do a lot less. It might take you a little while to get to $1 million, but I don't know that there's a right or wrong.
Something that you mentioned, our accountant and attorney that we were working with on it, mentioned, like Wes and I are doing some stuff together. Go figure. But the holdings for one company, the flips for another company, and just keeping them separate, because the income is looked at separately. So to be able to, for tax purposes, the best case, that's what our accountant recommended us to do. So definitely consult with trust or accountants and attorneys on their best practices, because let's be honest, they know more about that than we do. At least I hope they do. So we just more or less blindly went off of what, the people we pay to tell us those answers. Our best.
All you can do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the doctor tells you you're sick. It's like, I guess you're right.
Yeah. You can go get a few opinions from other people and see what they're doing, But yeah, that's what we're doing, or I'm doing. So 2 of us. Hey. Yeah, 3. So. Mhm.
Prospect, find the deals. We've talked a lot about finding deals. Obviously, sales is the name of the game, but that's not exactly the same thing as operator. And I find myself identifying with you when you said I'm an operator, attention to detail, what needs fixed, that kind of thing. Can you talk about how you found that out about yourself, that discovery, and how you partner with others to find the deals for you or do what needs to be done that's not your strength?
Yeah. So I think I might have lied. I don't know that I don't think I think my strength is being an operator, but not boots on the ground operator. Like that's the management. And then I'm the next tier. So like, I don't spend all my time looking at the properties and like, oh, that needs to be done. Like you can't really get so into the detail because you'll just get lost in it, especially as it grows. So you do have to be able to kind of look at it from a high level. So what I'm saying is I have the time in my schedule, like Adam, right? He does not have the time. I've created my life is where I have time to pay attention to the high level things, the management, the big, what do they call them? KPIs. That's what it's called. Yeah. So just to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to do. And then my other strength is marketing and getting deals. So I feel like I needed to go back on that. So I'm not like, let's say Rachel is, on numbers and spreadsheets. Matter of fact, she's always helping me with my spreadsheet. I know what needs to be done. I probably don't know how to do it, but I can definitely get people to come in and get it done. Help me do it.
I think
Is that
kind of answering your question from what I know, Zach, he didn't enjoy selling houses.
Yeah,
He did not want to make that his lifelong career.
Yeah.
And he found a niche that was involved in the same industry. It's something that he enjoyed and he focused on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the time that I've known you as a real estate agent, but we knew each other as friends before, it was clear that he didn't want to work 80 hours a week and sell homes. He was looking for how that avenue led him down a different road.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally agree.
when you're trying to figure out what it is that you're good at. In the beginning, you may have to do everything, but eventually you can delegate the parts of the job that you don't want. And if you are trying to figure out if something feels too much, you're missing a person or a system. And sometimes it's automated systems that you can purchase, that can help you simplify your life and figure things out. And other times you need a person in your life. So when he talks about his CPA team and, attorneys that tell you how to draw things up, well, they're doing what they do best and we're going to pay them for it. And
Yeah.
that's part of your team. That's part of your systems that you set up in place. So, but when he was first starting out, he probably didn't have all of those things in place before getting going,
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I was just like anybody else, Well, so I just wanted to know more about how does that apply to you and with what you're,
So I'm just joining KW. As I said, I don't have a deep desire to be a top performing traditional real estate agent.
Mhm.
I do have a deep desire to be a very good investor.
Mhm.
Very similar to what you're doing, it sounds like. So that's the root of my question.
I gotcha. I just was the other way. I was a real estate agent. I did have a desire initially to be a top agent and work towards that. And then that changed. And so then that's where this came into play. And then the sales business basically has fizzled out to where I don't make hardly anything, But, they work really well together. Like being a sales agent in a business that you want to buy what everyone is selling is probably the biggest reason that I've been able to accumulate what I have, though, is that direct relationship to the agents, working with them, doing what they do, and then they know me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And we've done deals together with clients and, so that's been a big benefit. So for you, that'll be a benefit. You'll get to know people here at other companies.
My suggestion to you, if you're getting started and that's your target, is rather than advertising for residential clients, gear everything towards investors, because you're going to find a lot more opportunities that way. And then maybe attend the Springfield Real Estate Investor Network. You're going to get to know people that are bird dogs that find deals. Often they'll just bring them and hand them to you, or they'll put you on their mailing list. So you've constantly got opportunities coming. But if you want to be a big time investor, residential real estate is really time consuming. And,
Yeah.
nights and weekends.
That is a great point. It took me 8 years to accumulate 100 properties, and it took me 2 weeks to accumulate 200 with two partners. Okay, so they're not all mine, but you get you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if you want to be an investor, instead of sending mailers to people to call you to list their house, you would call people that the people that own 4 units or more in Green Christian Webster County, right? And then you find one that you think's a good deal, you take it. You partner with somebody or you buy it yourself. Bring it to me. That's right. And then you're on your way. You get a commission because you found it. You get the benefit of ownership, so you can just do both.
Find your niche.
You find your niche. Yeah.
If you already know what you want to do, then create your niche that direction.
Yeah.
Gary does always say every house you walk into, whether it's a listing appointment or as a buyer, or with your buyer, it's like, why am I not buying it?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that.
He said that at a family reunion. I think one that I went to in the very beginning. He said that, and I remember him saying that, like it was clear, and it like sunk in. That
That's how
I
he
wish I
started
would've
it, and
done
it
it
happened.
earlier in the recession when I was at other companies, but is what it is. But yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm going to call my investor client. No, I'm going to call myself. Yeah. So
Thank you guys for coming.
you.
We're so excited for everybody. It looks
Yes,
like,
we are.
Like the needle is moving in this group.
Oh, it
I'm
is.
watching it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We just need to be able to somehow track it because
Mhm.
it's happening. There's people that aren't here today that I know for a fact are doing deals that have been here. So
Mhm. We may just send out like a an email, maybe we send out a group email and ask people to respond with like, since the start of class, if you're willing to share, what are the things you've done to move the needle up? And then maybe the next time we have our group meeting, we can just respond like as a group. So it's not putting anybody on a spot, but X amount of net worth has increased just as a result of all of our meetings.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All righty, guys.
Great
Thank you,
job,
Zach.
two.
Thank you.